Hey y'all, Texas Beekeeper here. Just trying to keep up with all of my colonies right now with the nectar flow. They're booming. It's been a tough job trying to keep up. Swarm cells, all the nukes are ready to expand. I'm running out of equipment. I've ran out of equipment. So I just got some boxes I had to buy because I didn't have time to build them. So I'll have to assemble those. And just a good year for beekeeping, a bad year for someone who's trying to expand at the top level of their limits while having a full-time job. So the bees have been keeping me on my toes. Just gonna go in a few of them. This one for sure. Wanted to see. I put some Ross rounds frames in here, so I want to see if they're actually taken to those or not. I've got a queen excluder on. I brought up some other drawn out, or actually some comb frames, some honey frames. Brought those up there to lure the bees up, and just want to see how that's doing. See if they're actually doing anything with it. Hopefully, because I've been wanting to try that Ross rounds. Well, I guess I am trying it, but I've been wanting to try it. The actual comb. So that's it. Gonna get in here. Been kind of sporadic weather, raining and then not, raining not. It's still pretty humid, but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get in them. Thank y'all. We'll see what we got. Not a lot of action up this high, unfortunately. Not what I was wanting to see. So these Ross rounds, here's one that's next to some other comb. Yeah, just not really touching them at all. That's unfortunate. Everybody that I hear using it says be sure and use a queen excluder, and yeah, they're storing nectar in these, but not in the Ross rounds frames. So that's a bummer. That's a bummer. Was really hoping to have some there. So I'm gonna move this box over and set it off to the side. Ought to be super light because, well, it ought to be. There's nothing in it. So as I said, I've got a queen excluder on it. Let me adjust to y'all if y'all need it. All right. So yeah, as I said, I've got a queen excluder on here. It's the metal unbound excluder, and you just want to be careful when taking these off. Make sure that propolis isn't sticking it down, and you pry on it. Of course, you've got the comb, the comb in the middle that could be doing the same thing. Just be careful, because you could change the spacing of the wires by yanking on it too much. So I think we're okay there. But so we've got a nice box here. I'm wondering if these girls might have swarmed out. Either that or the bottom's just super busy. So that's all nectar there. So they're drawing that nectar out, not capping it yet, but they are drawing it out. I'm gonna just set this off to the side here. It's a heavy one. So this one capped on the other side, not on this side. So that looks pretty nice, looks promising. That's a decent little bit of honey there. I think this is probably going to be about the same. There you go. They're actually, sorry for choking there, finishing up with brood and then coming back and putting nectar in there, which is about right because that flow's going. This one's got some milk brood, eggs even, on that back side. So still some good brood coming in there. I'm gonna shift that smoker up just a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't get in y'all's way. But yeah, so far looking pretty good. I just hope they didn't swarm. There we've got a few cells down here. Take a peek if they've got them charged. Looks like it's not charged. Looks like it's not charged. Yeah, none of those are charged yet. So just preparing, it looks like. What are you doing? Cleaning, I guess. I was like, that one might be actually feeding a larvae, but she wasn't. Here I just squished a bee, and I apologize. Hate it when I do that, but they get up there underneath those ears where you have to put your fingers, and it happens. More brood here. I think at least in my yard, you're seeing a lot more spotty brood because of the nectar. Like if you notice, all of the open cells have nectar in them, so it's not necessarily a sign of a bad queen. It's just kind of a sign of a bad beekeeper, not keeping up with giving them what they need, the space, and they're battling for open cells, putting nectar where they can, putting eggs where they can. Everybody's fighting for a spot. So yeah, so far hadn't seen any like swarm cells that have been from an emerging queen yet. So that's a good sign. It's kind of one thing I'm looking for right now, just to make sure. Bottom box does look pretty packed, so I don't think they swarmed out on me. This has been a pretty good colony for honey and low swarm potential. Yeah, a lot of brood here. Larvae, milk brood, eggs, you name it, it's all there. So we kind of looking for our mated queen, see if we see her. But yeah, that's, you know, one reason I don't really want to put that Ross rounds on top without the queen excluder, because she's looking for any spot she can to lay, and they're looking for any spot they can to store. But it's just a matter of, you know, who's going to be first, right? And you don't want a Ross round. This is a heavy one. You don't want a Ross rounds frame with eggs in it. So this is all honey there. Almost all capped on that side and almost all capped on that side. So pretty nice. I don't know if y'all remember, this is the C.C. Miller hive that we were doing all the splits from. Yeah, that's a heavy one there. That's a backbreaker. Whew. Nice frame of honey there. So yeah, so we got at least 6, 7 full frames, and then some partials. You know, like that's a partial. So that just means this is going to be a heavy son of a gun. to move. I'm just shifting it over, sliding my frames, and I'll put this other one that I just about knocked over. I'll put it back in there. Go ahead and turn it around. See if I can get them to fill this other side quicker. But yeah, I saw Gunline, old Tim and Hannah, had a nice little bench, portable bench that man, that sure would be nice right about now when I need to set this down somewhere. So yeah, I sure wish I had one of those. I'm gonna have to improvise with what I got, but if y'all hadn't already checked out their channel, check it out. It's Gunline Bees on YouTube. They do a lot of neat stuff, and they're from the Alabama area. Ooh. Alright. Well, that's how we're going to go for now. Just setting it on the end. Might have to probably move y'all down again. So let's take a look. Yeah, probably wouldn't hurt. And so what we do know is we have a queen, right? What we don't know is where my chair went. Hopefully this little nuke here is going to hold me. If not, then, well, then that's my fault because I built this thing. All right. So, yeah, we know we've got eggs, so we know we've got a mated queen, right? So the odds of our queen being here, pretty good, I would say. But you know, could always be a freshly mated queen. But again, I'm pretty hopeful that we still have our same one. So drawing out a little bit of comb there and storing it with nectar. And we'll just lay them off to the side here. Nothing really special about that. Got a nice thick honey frame here. Little wavy. So they've been inconsistent in their storing depths, right? So pretty good. That's pretty heavy, I'll tell you that. And not fully drawn out there. And a lot of that's probably from this next one, which is also a little on the wavy side. So yeah, that's a heavy one too. What do we got on this side? Looks like all nectar, mostly capped, wet capped. So in case y'all ever hear the term wet cap, this is for new beekeepers here. This here is wet capped honey. When it's dark like that, almost looks waxy and wet. That would be your wet capped honey. And then this is probably borderline dry capped here. Excuse me, choking on the smoke. But still a little on the wet side. Man, that's a doozy of a frame, a heavy one. But let me grab this one back again. So that's more of your dry capped, more when you have the white, you know, the white there. That's your regular dry capped honey. And I will say, if you're planning to use a heat gun to uncap your honey, it does not work well with the wet capped. It might with the dry caps. I haven't tried it, but I know a lot of uncapped nectar. But I know with the wet cap that doesn't do a good job. It just kind of reseals itself right away. So a lot of nectar here mixed in with a little bit of pollen. That's about all we got there. Still looking for our queen. But that's 3 potential good frames of honey there. Now we're getting into partial brood, partial food. This one's got a lot of eggs. A lot of eggs. And a little bit of milk brood. So it's a pretty fresh laid frame. A lot of brood on this one. Mixed with some spotty nectar in there. Like I said, be a little cautious on killing queens this time of year, because when it's a lot of nectar coming in, those bees are battling for spots to put things, and that includes pollen, it includes nectar, and it includes bees. So they'll store that in any open cell they've got if they're running low. And again, in my top box over there, they're not really going up there like I want them to. All right, a little bit of nectar here, probably some brood in there. I can't really see because it's old comb, kind of dark. But still, remember, I'm still looking for queen cells that may have emerged. And so far, I haven't seen any. The more I'm going through it, though, the more I'm not thinking they swarmed. It's pretty healthy down here, and they have a lot of eggs, so it would have had to been pretty quick mated queen. Not saying I'm gonna find her, but I'm not gonna look too hard. This one's a lot of pollen and a lot of nectar. Very little bit of brood, so looks like the brood was laid first and they're coming back in and filling it with whatever nectar they can whenever they can. So yeah, still looking for that queen if I find her. All right, a lot of nectar here. Little bit of brood, couple drone brood cells. And same there. So just because you're getting out of the brood frames doesn't mean you won't find your queen, but odds are going down. So we may be overlooked her. She could be in that middle box. She could be over here. She could have been on the wall, you know, when I pulled some frames up, which is a good reason to be very careful, because you just never know when you're going to scrape her. A lot of nectar and pollen on this side, and a lot of nectar and pollen on this side. Still no cells. And yeah, running out of the eggs, not really seeing those anymore. So gonna go slide this one back in. The queen in here is a white queen. So she's probably, at least for me, on her last year. I would maybe make a split with her and then create a new queen here, or just give them a new queen. But yeah, so this is a foundationless, and they've chosen to draw out drone comb, and they're filling that with a few drones but a lot of nectar. So you'll see that a lot where they use the drone comb for nectar. And yeah, I'm not not seeing down in there. But so yeah, I also wanted to point out, I think I mentioned this was the C.C. Miller hive that we did all the splits from, but also remember how aggressive these hives were at that time. And it was, in my opinion, the resources, or the lack of resources. I took a lot of the resources to split them up and all, so they weren't the best fans of that. And that will cause them to be a little more cranky than usual. So remember, queen could be over here. We hadn't laid eyes on her, so be very careful putting the frames back. And I'm gonna call it done. They didn't swarm. There was no cells that were drawn out or anything. So I'm gonna smoke this box, try to get them back up in it. All right. I can tell you, I don't think she's in this box because they're roaring. So I think she was in that bottom box. We just missed her. Again, not a big deal. Try to put this on without killing any or too many. There we go. And yeah, I really wish they'd come up in the top. But what can you do? All right, well, that's all I got for that. So just want to say thank y'all for watching.